From MTN News, this is Montana This Morning.
Good morning and welcome to Montana This Morning on this Thursday, May 23rd. I'm Augusta McDonnell, standing by with Ed McIntosh. Off the top this morning, some parts of our region are expecting wet and snowy weather, Ed.
That's right. We look right behind us from Yellowstone National Park in Old Faithful, where you see some of the snow starting to move in there.
Looks like December in the park, but with all the cars, except for,
Yeah, it's
really
actually
pretty
a great time to go down to the park. You know, spring is beautiful. But you're not going to get there very easily through Bozeman today. This is the airport at Belgrade right now. We showed you, if you were watching about an hour ago, there was some snow showers around. If you look really carefully, now there's a plane back in there somewhere. We were checking the departures and everything does seem to be on time, but the visibility, as you can see, is very poor there and right at around freezing. So they are getting some snow accumulations. Obviously, a lot of de-icing and things going on there. Humidity all the way up to 96%. Missoula also seeing the fog and some area rain showers there. They're right on the cusp of having some snow, certainly seeing it up into the mountains, and the passes are being affected. And as we take a look towards Billings here with the Stockman Bank weather cam, we'll look for periods of rain showers that could be heavy at times, and it doesn't allow temperatures to warm up much during the afternoon. We'll break it all down for you in a few minutes.
All right, Ed, thank you so much. Weather also a major concern across the country this morning. Overnight, heavy rains, large hail, and at least one tornado swept through parts of Texas. In Iowa, residents are in cleanup mode after a twister wiped out homes and killed multiple people earlier in the week. CBS's Naomi Ruckham has more.
Powerful storms pummeled central Texas Wednesday. Wind and rain whipped inside the Temple Mall after part of the roof blew off. In nearby Belton, a drive down one highway showed a path of destruction with debris in the road and toppled signs and trees in the distance. Strong winds, heavy rain, and hail also battered Arkansas and Oklahoma.
This one front and back glasses broke on this car.
The hail smashed through windows and dented multiple cars at this Oklahoma dealership.
Hail cell here in Sapulpa, so come on by.
Meanwhile, new drone video shows the extent of the devastation after a deadly tornado tore through Greenfield, Iowa Tuesday, one of more than a dozen that reportedly hit the state.
I thought the whole house was going to come down on us. That's how bad it sounded.
Luckily, the house did not come down on 19-year-old Keely Pickrell, who told CBS News she and her 17-year-old sister Kaya hid in the basement with their dogs while the twister blasted through their neighborhood. Like many residents, they're now hoping to rebuild.
Everyone's trying to do what they can to help out.
Iowa state officials say at least 5 people were killed in Tuesday's storms. At least 35 were injured. Naomi Ruckham, CBS News.
Iowa Governor Kim Reynolds visited Greenfield yesterday. She says she's working with the White House on a federal disaster declaration. Back in Montana, in Lockwood, a wreck involving a school bus left 10 children needing medical attention. This happened yesterday morning. A pickup was merging onto Interstate 90 when it sideswiped the bus. That bus belongs to Shepherd School District. It was taking students to the Yellowstone Boys and Girls Ranch. You can see the damage there on your screen. 2 children were transported to the emergency room. First responders tell us no one was seriously injured.
We did a triage on all the patients on the bus, very minor injuries, little ankle injuries, some shoulder injuries just from hitting the side of the bus, but very minor injuries and maybe a little anxiety also.
Officials also say all of the children on the bus were wearing seatbelts, preventing this situation from being much worse. And new this morning, Montana is home to 55 state parks. Each one has its own unique wonders. Most pretty easy to find, some overlooked. Q2's Haley Monaco visited one that's nearby. She tells us if you make it there, you'll be blown away by the beauty.
It might be a little bit out of the way, but the Tongue River Reservoir is a popular spot in the summer months.
It's nonstop in the summer.
Nestled between Kirby and Decker, just 15 minutes from Wyoming, is the beautiful 12-mile-long Tongue River Reservoir State Park. And when you're enjoying a camping trip at one of the 81 spots secluded in nature, fishing or boating, the marina is there to supply anything you may need.
We've prided ourselves on having just about anything that may be forgotten.
Owners of the Tongue River Marina, Ryan and Lori Bogers, spent plenty of time at the reservoir before taking over the shop 3 years ago.
Prior to 3 years ago, we'd be down here just about every weekend.
My favorite part probably is actually the campers and just getting to mingle with people and just that whole interaction of everybody having a good time. It's like you're camping for 3 months and hanging out with everybody.
The Bogers and their kids live and work there during the summers and commute from Billings in the winter when they are open on the weekends for ice fishing.
I mean, it is harder to find help out here because we are remote and a small business, so we can't offer what a lot of other businesses can offer for employment, but it's a good place. It's a fun place to work for a few months.
And if you're lucky, you may run into one of their smallest helping hands, one of their employees' sons, who gave us a tour of the marina.
So here we have the jet ski parking area.
Whether it's a stop for boat rentals, tubes, fishing gear, or even a bite to eat.
The grill is just kind of short order items like hamburgers, chicken strips.
The friendly faces at the Tongue River Marina will be there for your needs. At Tongue River Reservoir, Haley Monaco, MTN News.
Great story. Thank you, Haley. Work is now underway on a new West End water treatment plant in Billings. Crews pouring concrete for the first time this week. The Hesper Road plant will be the second in Billings. City leaders say it will take pressure off the current facility. Right now, the Southside water plant can only be shut down for a maximum of 12 hours. Once the West End facility is online, one of the plants could sustain the entire city for much longer. That clears the way for more maintenance time. It also keeps faucets running during an emergency.
It will protect us from that, or oil spills that will come down the Yellowstone River, to be able to, say, hey, we're going to take the plant offline, let that water go by.
Our job is to manage that as best as possible, manage the normal storm events, manage the big storm events, but make sure that the record storm events don't cause a lot of issues.
Yesterday, the Public Works Department held an open house. The public got the chance to see an up-close look at how they get clean drinking water to homes all across the city. And new this morning, President Joe Biden is cracking down on so-called junk fees. Those include certain late fees on credit cards or hidden hotel or plane ticket costs. However, the president's plan to save you some money is not going over well with major companies. Our Joe St. George explains.
In an effort to win re-election, President Biden is betting a lot on cracking down on junk fees as an issue that resonates with the American people. He's having, though, one issue ahead of Election Day. A lot of his junk fee crackdowns are resulting in major lawsuits. Take, for instance, your credit card. Maybe you use it, but sometimes you don't have the cash to make a payment on time. You could get a late fee for that, which can be $30 or more. President Biden, though, earlier this year announced plans to slash that to $8 max a month.
The American people are tired of being played for suckers.
The move, part of a multi-year effort by the Biden administration to crack down on so-called junk fees, payments added, sometimes without your knowledge, to your final bill. The effort is taken on hotels, airlines, banks, and more. But if you're wondering why you may not be seeing the savings, it's because the Biden administration has run into opposition by some companies impacted.
We've filed 16 different lawsuits thus far against the Biden administration.
Daryl Josepher is an executive vice president with the U.S. Chamber of Commerce, a group that has been part of many lawsuits challenging the White House's rulemaking ability in recent months. The chamber is part of an effort to stop the credit card late fee change. Josepher says his group is looking out for the unintended consequences. A credit card company, for instance, may just deny a person credit if they can't impose proper fees.
Our credit card late fees, paying late fees are not junk fees, right? It's a fee because you didn't pay your bill on time.
The chamber is taking on the White House on more than just junk fees. This week, they sued to block new rules from taking effect regarding who can accompany OSHA inspectors. The group last month sued to block a new Federal Trade Commission rule banning non-compete clauses in the workplace. Other groups have sued too, like Airlines for America, challenging a junk fee crackdown that requires upfront disclosures of ticket prices, saying that the info will bombard customers with too much information. These lawsuits could, in theory, take years to settle, well after this year's election. Potentially a new administration could even change the rules back. Joe St. George, Scripps News, Washington.
Joe, thank you. Now we head overseas where Norway, Ireland, and Spain announced they're recognizing a Palestinian state. This historic move drew condemnation from Israel. The country's prime minister even ordering back ambassadors from Norway and Ireland. In a social media post, Benjamin Netanyahu called the decision a reward for terrorism. The Biden administration released a statement regarding the recognition of a Palestinian state. It says the president is a supporter of a two-state solution, adding he believes a Palestinian state should be recognized through direct negotiations and not unilateral recognition. Back in the U.S. in Texas, family members of Uvalde school shooting victims reached a $2 million settlement with the city. The deadly rampage left 19 students and 2 teachers dead. Victims' families are also filing lawsuits against dozens of Texas Department of Public Safety officers in the school district. Officers waited more than an hour to confront the gunman. Back in Billings, a Billings couple is turning the scariest time of their life into a mission to help others. They discovered their newborn son had a heart defect just 18 days into his life. A local nonprofit made his time in the hospital a little easier, and now the family is giving back to that organization. Q2's Charlie Kleps shows us how.
In just a few short weeks, runners will be hitting the pavement here at the Vermilion Ranch in support of a nonprofit called Montana Bravehearts. They do what they can to help families who are dealing with heart conditions.
Our whole world kind of tipped upside down.
Those aren't the words you typically hear from a family days after welcoming their second child into the world. And it's a reality that Demi and Zach Talon never expected to be living.
We had no idea. Had a healthy pregnancy, everything.
But what began as a routine birth of their son Lennox quickly turned into a nightmare.
He started crying and then stopped and just went limp in my arms. And he said, "What do we do?" And I said, "Call 911.
When it first happened, we had no idea what to do or what to even expect.
Their 18-day-old baby losing his breath is a moment they'll never forget.
He went white and then went limp and quit breathing. You don't really know what to think at that point.
The family rushed Lennox to the hospital where he coded not once but twice before discovering the reason why.
We went to the hospital and found out he had a heart condition. So it was all just kind of a blur, and they decided to obviously pack us up and send us to Denver that day.
Lennox was then life-flighted to Denver for more treatment, a trip and experience made easier by the Montana Bravehearts, who sent care packages hoping to give them comfort.
It was awesome to have just people who experienced the same things we did and had the same trauma, and how to handle it was awesome.
Lennox is now nearly 9 months old and doing much better, and the Talon family is now proud members of Montana Bravehearts, working alongside others like Babe Goggins.
I can't do much anymore at my age, but I really do want to help.
The 93-year-old has donated her land on the Vermilion Ranch near Shepherd for the second ever running fundraiser for the program.
This is a very good cause.
A good cause that hopes to provide comfort for families like the Talons, who are grateful every day, not only for their son, but for the nonprofit and the impact it's had.
I mean, he's still here, so the fact they didn't die, compared to what he was then to how he is now, is 100% different.
In Billings, Charlie Kleps, MTN News.
Charlie, thank you so much. Now let's get to new details. We know about last week's deadly plane crash near Forsyth. 2 pilots from Miles City died when their small aircraft went down. The cause of the crash remains under investigation by the FAA. The Rosebud County coroner identified the victims as 66-year-old Dave Hartman and 19-year-old Hayden Oakland. Their obituary said both men died doing what they loved. Oakland had just gotten his pilot's license in 2022. Production on a popular TV show is leaving Montana. 1923's first season was filmed in Butte, but season 2 of the Yellowstone prequel will now be shot in Austin, Texas. Butte officials are sad to see it go. They said the show was an economic boon for the community. Last year, the Montana legislature voted down a bill that would have extended tax credits to incentivize the television and movie industry to film in the state. It's unclear if that factored into the decision to move the show.